Good morning, Mr. Chairman. My name is Robert Burns. I am a real estate broker and inactive CPA, and I've been a real estate auctioneer for 7 years. And I'm also a member of the Louisiana Auctioneers Licensing Board. Unfortunately, there can be situations, particularly in real estate auctions, where there is an incentive to utilize the practice of inflating the bid, particularly if you're just a little bit short of the reserve. From my vantage point, particularly when you're dealing with real estate, the utilization of these shill bidders, whether it be on the part of the seller, the auctioneer, or whomever, is analogous to an insidious cancer that threatens to destroy the real estate auction business. I know in one instance that I guess it's been referenced, there's the approach that, well, it was just an attempt to get $50,000 out of the high bidder that failed. Let me just say I was a former fraud investigator for the FDIC, and I can assure you that if a lowly bank teller attempted to use computer codes to defraud the institution out of $50,000 and it got detected, it wouldn't be a no harm, no foul situation. So I'm a little at a loss at how it can be, well, nobody should be upset because it didn't work. It fails to resonate with me. I just don't understand it. I mean, when you're talking about an attempt to obtain an additional $50,000, that's serious. And I believe goes to the very integrity of the real estate auction business. And the problem with it is it creates a perception of distrust amongst the public, which leads to lower attendance at auctions, which leads to lower results, which feeds on the need to do this. So, as I said, I believe it's an insidious cancer. I think someone, Representative Norton, I believe you asked if there was a governing body. Yes, that is the LALB. There are presently statutes against this. The problem is it's a misdemeanor. It's a misdemeanor done to a maximum of a $500 fine. When you're talking about a $700,000 piece of property, a $500 fine represents 0.07% of the value of that property. It represents 0.71% of the amount of the commission that the auctioneer would stand to make on the transaction. It's an open incentive to let me go ahead and write the check now so you don't tie my hands to do this. It's inadequate. Then I can't see how there can be opposition to wanting good faith, above board auctions of any merchandise. I can't for the life of me fathom, for the life of me see why anyone would oppose this bill. And just for clarification purposes, I conducted an auction about 2 weeks ago. Very nice home in the Bluffs in St. Francisville. I fell short, and I know there was more money there. I know there was. But I'm not going to do that. I don't care if the fine isn't $5. I'm not going to do it. And the gentleman came up to me, and he said he was willing to go up another $15,000 because he knew it was a legitimate auction. And his words to me, and I'm going to quote him, were, "You people have some serious problems in this business." And that was from the high bidder.
Thank you, sir.
And with that, I'll ask your favorable support of this bill. Thank you very much.
Gary, your question?
Listening to y'all, people are saying this doesn't happen, or people are saying that, everybody knows the game, but if this never happened and people didn't know the game, I don't think we'd have defined terms like capper, booster, and shrill. Are those common words in your industry?
You asking me? Those are defined in our rules and regulations. Yes, sir. They are commonly utilized, and it is illegal. It's presently illegal. The problem is, I don't know what DA is going to be real excited about a maximum $500 fine on a misdemeanor. There's just not going to be an aggressive push to prosecute it. And I would like to point out that at yesterday's meeting, Ms. Anna Dow, the legal counsel for the LALB, she stated on tape that that all of the objections she had to Representative Baldone's original bill had been remedied, and that in her opinion, this was a good bill. I don't see how anyone can argue with his contention that the public has a right to expect. If you go in to bid, in my case, when I auctioned my home, then this was 9 years ago, but the final price was $236,500, and thank God it would have been known that this was above board, because when you start talking about this kind of money, people expect honesty, they expect integrity. You would never, the real estate broker who would have tried to abscond with this level of funds, would be in serious problems. And we have statutes involving real estate. You don't have to have a real estate license to do a real estate auction, which is an argument for another day, but there are civil penalties in place as a real estate broker that are up to 5 years in prison. So I, for the life of me, can't see why anyone would be in opposition to wanting to support good faith, above board auctions that the public can depend upon to be honest and legitimate.
How does an auctioneer pay?
An auctioneer typically, well, there can be several different ways, but the predominant practice within the industry is to use a buyer's premium. For example, and 10% is often the norm for real estate. So if the final bid for a piece of property is, say, $100,000, there would be a 10% buyer's premium added onto that amount. The contract would be written up at $110,000. And if you don't mind, I'd like to just briefly state as to why there can be such a huge incentive for an auctioneer to do this. Is let's just say we have a $500,000 piece of property.
Be brief, please.
Okay.
Agenda.
Okay. If the reserve is $500,000 and you're at, say, 460, let's say 470, then with a buyer's premium you're at 517. So you've got the deal done. The deal is done on a gross basis. All you got to do is collapse your commission down to 17,000. But if you can get it up, it's like all the money comes to you. So if you're very close to that reserve number, there is a huge incentive. If you look at it strictly from a financial standpoint, there is a huge incentive to engage in this practice. And there's very little downside. The maximum that's going to happen is $500 fine and a misdemeanor. And I apologize if I took too long.
I think we just answered your previous question.
What was that?
Why would they want to do it?
Oh, yeah.
It's a financial incentive.
Absolutely. Absolutely.